smashing through the lies, destroying narratives, and breaking through the mainstream media programming. This is tomorrow's America.
Hi, my name is Richard Donahue. I'm here with my co-host William Donahue, and today, welcome back to Tomorrow's America. There's so much news that we are going to cover today. Iran has still been in their internet blackout. They're killing civilians. Lots of stuff is going on. Putin is threatening Trump, saying don't get involved, along with Saudi Arabia saying they will not let the U.S. use their airspace. Europe is being hypocrites like always, and also NATO is going to send troops to Greenland, so that is great. So, Will, what is your thoughts on all of this Iran news?
The Iran news, I think that we should let Iran do their thing as much as possible. I think any interference in Iran is going to result in a much larger conflict. As far as like civilians being killed for protesting, I think that the rest of the world, along with America, historically, they try and say that we're a rules-based order and that the world has a system of laws and, regulations for like things like the Geneva Convention and things like that. I think that we still need to do those things, and the rest of the world needs to be on board with us. We can do it by ourselves, but we shouldn't have to do it by ourselves. And I think that's it's an important thing for Iran to have a regime change. If you look at videos from the 70s, there was men wearing suits and ties and women wearing knee-high dresses. And it really was the CIA's interference over there, and along with other countries. But, there's been a radicalization in Iran, and I think that now they want to de-radicalize. The citizens themselves want to de-radicalize and overthrow the Ayatollahs that were put in place. And now it's time for that. And I think that we should stay out of it. But, if it comes down to it, for human rights reasons, we should definitely intervene or get involved as minimal as possible.
Yeah. And you really do notice a turn around 1963. That's where, our country starts to get involved in a lot of this stuff. Another significant event is JFK's assassination. Post JFK assassination, when you look at what we've gotten, not great things have happened since then. I agree with you. Iran needs to do this themselves, and that's what Trump's saying. He thinks that Iran's going to collapse on its own. I agree. The way that the citizens are being so strong, so powerful, and all going at once, I think that's amazing. You know what I mean? That's something that they could actually do themselves. Obviously, I don't want the United States to get involved. Not only is this going to cause another global conflict, but this isn't even our Western Hemisphere, which is what I actually care about. The Western Hemisphere is where we are. This is another Middle Eastern problem, and then also if we get involved, I guarantee Israel will also be involved, and I am not fighting another war on the side of Israel. That's just not going to happen. But yeah, what have you seen the stuff about their internet blackouts and how they've shut it off, and then the Starlink? Do you want to go a little in depth on the Starlink?
The Starlink, I know that Iran, their government is sending jammers up, like satellite signal jammers, to block the Starlink access for the citizens. So we're hearing things that citizens are being killed. We're seeing a minimal amount of videos of massive protests. We know there's massive protests. We know there's citizens being killed. We're just not... I would say we have to be careful because we're not ever going to get the full picture because of the suppression of internet access for people. Things like the riots in Minnesota, That's like all day viewing. You could go on and watch stuff 24/7 about what's going on with that. But with the Iran situation, you're not going to be able to see as much of what's actually happening on the ground. So it makes it very difficult to judge. But I do know that there's citizens being killed. The Ayatollah is posting messages, but he's posting them in the Russian language. And he's kind of making veiled threats to Trump about like, you better not get involved, this and that. So we'll have to see what happens. But I know that they say there's like the 3.5% rule. If you have 3.5% of a population stand up and protest, it almost completely inhibits a government's ability to do things. This is probably much larger than 3.5%. So hopefully they can handle it on their own, and we don't have to get involved. But I do think it would be important for media people to be able to go over there and send out videos of on the ground of what's going on. Now, what you said about Israel, I think that the citizens there should be able to do what they want. I don't want an Israeli puppet, because that is what has gotten us to this point of radicalization and things like that, is ours and Israel's interference. Let's let them set up their own democracy. Let's let them vote for somebody that upholds their values, and then they could stay on their half of the world and do what they want to do, and hopefully we just trade with them and have good relations.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we need to do. I think that the way that we have our relationship with Saudi Arabia is perfect, where we are allies with them economically, but we don't really get involved militarily. I think that that's another thing. When you look at Israel, I think Israel is a perfect economic partner, but I don't think that we should take their strategic, what am I trying to say? Exactly, Mossad agents. I don't think that we should be taking their intelligence over the United States. We're the number one superpower in the world. We shouldn't be taking anyone else's intelligence.
Definitely not. And we know that there was a difference in intelligence with the Fordo nuclear strike. Certain people were left out of the Camp David meeting, where Mossad came and gave Trump Israeli intelligence, and people within Trump's administration purposely left people out so that our DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, couldn't come and counter the intelligence from Mossad. Mm-hmm. And I think that's pretty concerning when we have our intelligence saying, no, they're not enriching uranium or whatever. And they get blocked out and left out of the conversation, and we just go with the Israeli intelligence assessment and just, go along with what they got.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've been dealing with.
Are we just throwing topics, or are we getting into Iran right now?
Yeah, so I was going to say we're going to hit Iran first and foremost, that we're going to hit Iran. Then we're going to go into European hypocrisy along with Greenland. And then to finish off, we're going to use U.S. media, and that's going to be the final topics. So we're going to go through Iran, then Europe, and then the U.S. media, which the U.S. media is appalling. I mean, what we've been dealing with. I mean, even J.D. Vance, which I've actually supported a lot of what he's been doing recently, just being so critical on the media, because this is levels of 2016, 2017 fear-mongering that President Trump had to deal with in his first term. And at this level, it's literally causing not a literal civil war, but a figurative civil war between the left and the right. And the left and the right don't need that. I know that that's what the top powers, the oligarchs, actually want, is us to be divided. But that's not what we need right now, especially in 2026 with this chaotic world that we're living in. We definitely need unity. So we have a clip here for you. Will, you want to go in depth on it?
Go ahead. This is on the ground in Iran. This is going to be one of few videos that you'll be able to see, but look at the sheer number of people here.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like that's got to be into the hundreds of thousands.
And there's more videos where, but look at it. As you could see in every direction, there's people. I apologize. My voice is a little hoarse, but I'm still going. Can't give up on fighting for the truth and what's right in the world. So I'm just going with it. I do have other clips. Let me.
Yeah, we have so many clips actually that we are going to pull up today. And that's along with what we've done in episode 6, episode 7, episode 8. We're going to be pushing you guys clips and showing you the sources so you guys can understand, as along with us, where we're getting our information from. We're not just chatting out of nowhere. We are getting our information from viable sources, and we will show you. So we have a couple clips, but Iran has cut internet nationwide as protests spread across major cities. So here's this article right here. We're going to go into a full screen.
I'm going to read it a little bit. Iran's connection to the global internet largely collapsed on Thursday as nationwide demonstrations intensified. According to several organizations that monitor online traffic, independent data showed that the country's digital links to the outside world dropped to almost zero within minutes, leaving citizens unable to communicate or share updates as protests spread. NetBlocks, Cloudflare in Georgia.
It's all good.
In Georgia Tech's internet outage detection and analysis system all recorded the same sudden plunge in connectivity. We continue to see a small amount of traffic, but the country is effectively completely offline, said David Belson, Cloudflare's head of data insight. This wasn't just an organic thing or a mishap. This was the government sending satellite signal jammers to block internet access for people. It started off with just internet access, then people started using Starlink, and they had to block the signal from that also, which is pretty horrific. If you're doing something that you don't want the rest of the world to see, obviously it's a bad thing. So, Iran, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, it's bad. And we've seen this before, along with the word re-education. Shutting off internet and a complete nationwide blackout is never a good sign when we've seen millions and millions of people killed in Tiananmen Square, I believe in 1989. This was the same thing. It was a complete blackout. You had news broadcasts showing all of the tanks coming in. If you know anything about Tank Man, all of the tanks coming in. Tank Man sits there. He's like this. He's saying stop. He goes on the tank. He's climbing around, making a fool out of the People's Republic of China, the Chinese Communist Party, making a complete fool out of them. And they shut off the news broadcasting system. And allegedly, what everyone is under the conclusion of is around 1 million deaths in Tiananmen Square from that event. So this is never a good sign. We're seeing thousands of deaths from Iran, allegedly. I mean, this is not good stuff happening right now. This is very dangerous. And my call to action is to the humanitarians who are these pro-LGBTQ, free Palestine warriors in the United States. Where are you when you are talking about being a humanitarian? Where are you right now talking about Iran? Because I don't see any of them talking about Iran. Because it doesn't fit their narrative. It's the humanitarian portion of it that really bothers me, because being a humanitarian, you care about people. So are the Iranians not people? Because that's honestly, like, it doesn't make sense to me. If I was a humanitarian, I would care about all people, no matter what the government is. So let's just look into that. That's just something to question, something to ponder on.
I hope that this clip has audio. I don't know. Hold on one second.
We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. So we don't want that to happen. There have been cases like this where President Obama totally backed down. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly.
That exactly is what happened in Bordeaux. What he's talking about, we're going to missile strike them in key areas. That's exactly what he's talking about. We will not have any U.S. casualties. That's kind of this administration's whole ordeal. They don't want any casualties. That's their whole thing. If we're doing something in Venezuela, if we're doing something in Iran, those are the two things that have happened recently, two military events, and we've had 0 U.S. casualties in the last 2.
Trump, he said that we're not going to intervene if we don't have to, but if we do, if they keep killing civilians, then we are going to have to do something, like you said, strategic strikes, or maybe do what we saw with the Maduro takedown. Mm-hmm. But hopefully we don't have to do that. I do have another article here. Can you put this up on the screen?
Yeah, every time you needed something up, I can just put it up for you.
Okay. So this article here is talking about, so Trump issued that statement saying we might have to get involved. Iran's Khamenei issues direct warning to the United States in Russian language posts. And the reason why he's speaking in Russian is because most of his family, the Ayatollah Khamenei, most of his family has already been moved out of the country, and it's rumored that he might go to Moscow, which I don't know. I don't know what he plans to do, but he's making these posts, and there's a couple quotes in here. In a post dated January 11th, Khamenei wrote in Russian, "The United States today is miscalculating in its approach toward Iran." Hours later, he followed with a second message, also in Russian, warning that Americans had suffered defeat before because of miscalculations and would do so again because of erroneous planning. I don't know what leg that he has to stand on because he has 0 control over his own country, but I think that it's important to take his threat seriously. Obviously, the entire Muslim world is already angry at Israel and the United States, which is a pretty big thing, but we're also making moves where we're trying to focus on the Western Hemisphere. See, I think that the Trump administration is incredibly good at foreign policy, doing an amazing job with handling things properly. The only thing we could do better is get out of NATO, which we haven't done yet, but that might be right around the corner with the whole Greenland topic and all that. Domestically, I think that we're failing pretty hard, the Trump administration, but we could talk about that a little bit too. But as far as foreign policy, this is the stuff that on the world stage, other countries are going to take us seriously when we're actually acting on our own behalf, unlike Joe Biden pulling out of Afghanistan and, the embarrassment with that. I think that this is going to be a pretty big deal, but we could avoid serious problems if we handle it carefully. And, I don't want to see us fund another terrorist organization either. We don't need to create another ISIS or another Taliban or another one of these. Hamas even, was initially funded by the state of Israel and then given to Iran so that Israel had an adversary. It's kind of, a very sordid history, but it's pretty important to think about that. We don't need to fund another terrorist uprising. We need to fund democracy being built. That's what the USAID, the US aid that Doge cut, that's what they were running around the globe doing. They were running around. USAID is US. Basically, what we're doing is international development, like country building. We were running around playing games, trying to create different uprisings and color revolutions and things all over the globe, and that's really what gave us a bad rap. Like going back to Vietnam, when we wanted to stop communism from spreading, and that was like the idea. That was a bad thing to get involved in Vietnam, but it was a good value. It was a good thing that we had, that we thought. It just wasn't, a good war to get into. But these are the things. We need to spread democracy. We don't need to go in and interfere in Ukraine's elections or things like that,
Yeah, I agree with you. I think USAID was a complete scam. It was such a waste of money. It was, at least in my point of view, I thought it was like a way to combat the Belt and Road Initiative that China has. And then we're going to get into that because they've tried multiple times to get Greenland involved. But it was a way to combat that and promote democracy, where it actually just ended up making us look like the bad guys. And like Will said, to quote him from 2 episodes ago, we are big Satan and Israel is little Satan. And that's the way that they view us. The Arab world wasn't always against us, but they are, because we've just meddled and meddled and meddled. And that's along with not just the United States, but also the UK. The UK created the borders between Israel and Palestine after the Ottoman Empire fell. So many different issues that when you actually break down what the conflicts are, it's usually Europe just drawing borders and not caring about the people. But yeah, there are lots of issues for sure. We have a lot of stuff to go over. We're obviously going to continue on the Iranian topic. But yeah, when you talk about democracy, Iran was a constitutional monarchy before 1979. And their constitutional monarchy was almost like how the UK was with Great Britain. That's just something that we meddled in, and now look at what they have with, their government. Their government is getting overthrown by the people, where their currency, one of their currency is $0.00. It's not even a cent. Like it's not even comparable. Everything these people have is gone. Everything. Like the best thing for them would be a complete regime change, but that's not something that I think the U.S. should get involved in. That's not something that we need to be doing. We need to focus on the Western Hemisphere. We need to focus on Greenland. We need to focus on NATO and Europe, because they are acting completely out of line. And when I say NATO, I mean the European Union, because without us, there is no NATO. NATO's the European Union. So we are NATO, but they're going to say we're going to send NATO troops to Greenland because we're going to, you're going to protect Greenland? NATO is going to protect Greenland? Well, who's NATO? Because we put in almost all of the funding for the military. I think we're over 50%, even after every country raised their percentages to 5% of their GDP. So it doesn't even make sense for them to even say NATO is going to put troops on Greenland. No, Europe's going to do it. Germany, France, those are the big two. And I will go off on that, but let me not get too out of topic. Or you want to continue on Iran?
That was pretty much all the clips I had. Like I said, there's very limited information coming out about this, but that was pretty much it. I don't know. I also have clips and articles about the U.S. media, but maybe we could just keep it foreign. Let's go into Greenland right now, because today unless you have more about Iran.
No, it's perfect. Yeah, just go into Greenland. I have some clips I'm about to pull up for you.
Today, the I don't know what they're called, the prime minister, whatever, of Greenland came out and said that they don't want to be bought by the United States, which is a pretty bold statement. I don't know. They're already owned and controlled by Denmark, which is like, I don't know. Could the average person find Denmark on a map?
No, they can't. And also, if you want to really get into it, Denmark's subsidizing Greenland $400 million a year. And then their claim that they have is it's a historical claim. They've had this historically. Now, what happened to being imperialist and holding your colonies? Because I thought we went away with that after World War II. So I guess that didn't happen. You know, the reason that Greenland hasn't gotten full autonomy, even though all of their high-ranking officials do want full autonomy, they want to be their own independent country, they haven't been able to. You have 57,000 people on this little country, and it's not little. It's a huge, huge island. It's actually the biggest island in the world, but you only have usable land on the coast. So this little island that can't actually protect itself, it has no military. Its military are a couple of dog sleds. They have a great fishing industry, but I mean, other than that, they don't really have anything going for them. You see it right there. Greenland, it's right next to Iceland. Iceland, I would consider, Europe. I would consider that European, even though they're still in the North American tectonic plate. But Greenland's 100% North American. It has a land border with Canada, which no one wants to talk about. But yeah, we'll get into it right now. Let's pull up the clips.
I don't know if you guys could see that. Now, Greenland, says that the whole rest of the world says that Greenland is its own country, right? Well, then why do they put Greenland parentheses Denmark on the map? So Greenland, the EU, the problem with, well, I was going to say this earlier when you were talking about the EU, they're all about democracy and autonomous countries, and we're all free countries and all this stuff. While the EU itself is all the European countries put together, and the leadership of the EU is an unelected party that's basically an unelected dictatorship that just controls all of Europe. So you want to talk about democracies, you want to talk about autonomous countries, you want to talk about colonialism and imperialism, expansionist states. The EU is a dictatorship. They're unelected. Ursula von der Leyen, or whatever, the leader of the EU, is an unelected person. Nobody voted for her, but she makes decisions for all of Europe, and then cries and says that we're interfering with democracies and all this stuff. It's total BS. But what do we have here?
Get started right now because I'm about to go off on these people. This is all, when I put in the title, this is all of the European hypocrisy. You want to talk about imperialist states and how Europe is so against imperialism and they have this white guilt because of what they did because of colonialism. Well, you guys are literally colonizing Greenland and you can't protect it. And then when you want to talk about U.S. expansion and want to dog on us about our expansion that we have, well, number one, we have the Monroe Doctrine. Okay, no one wants to talk about that. Number two, what about China, who's literally expanding as we speak with the Belt and Road Initiative, and also they're trying to get into Greenland. This is a national security risk, along with if we want the Golden Dome, then we need Greenland. If we want this, and especially this goes for Canada, I bunch Canada up with Europe. This is absolutely ridiculous when you actually want to look at how they do their politics. Carney is meeting with Xi Jinping, from the president of China. We'll get into all this right now, but let's just play this clip. Right here, Danish and Greenland officials are at the White House. They are talking about U.S. and Greenland, relations and how the U.S. wants to buy or take over Greenland. So let's play the clip. Now, there's no audio here, but as you are looking at this right here, here is one of their top-ranking officials. They're all going in, shaking hands with people, as you see. Very, very diplomatic. Trump is trying to be very diplomatic with the way that we are going about this. As you see, everyone is all smiles. Not really the Europeans, but everyone on the American side is smiling. You see these people over here. So yeah, that's just this basic clip right here. Now let's scroll down one. This is the Danish foreign minister. He's going to work with the United States to find a common forward on Greenland, or find a common way forward on Greenland. So basically what he's saying is the U.S. wants Greenland and they don't want to give it up. So they're going to work with the United States on a common way forward. And as the depressed Ginger says right here, seems like a change of tone already. Yeah, because what are you going to do to the United States? Like, the United States is bigger than Europe, stronger than Europe. Europe is still combined a lower GDP than the United States. They would never go to war with the United States. So this fear-mongering of Germany and France saying that they will protect Greenland, why don't you put your troops into Ukraine, your own continent? But let's get into this clip.
And we therefore still have a fundamental disagreement, but we also agree to disagree. And therefore we will, however, continue to talk. We have decided to form a high-level working group to explore if we can find a common way forward. The group, in our view, should focus on how to address the American security concerns, while at the same time respecting the red lines of the Kingdom of Denmark. We expect that such a group will meet for a first time within a matter of weeks. And then I will pass the floor to my colleague from Greenland, Vivian Mosfeld.
There it is. So as you heard him, the Kingdom of Denmark is the ones that are going to be talking with the United States. I think that we should just go directly through Greenland and leave Denmark out, because Denmark wants to be like this, but whatever. As you see right here, let's click on this, because this is just great. So right here it says France says it will join Germany in defending Greenland. So let's click on this. Look at these guys. So this is who we're fighting. NATO. This is members of NATO. France is going to join Germany. Germany, the country that we took down in World War II, and France, the country that would speak German if the United States didn't get involved, are going to unite against the United States on taking a 99% inhabitable island, a glacier sheet, because 57,000 people need their autonomy. This is ridiculous hypocrisy. Let's scroll down a little bit. Denmark sends elite troops and military equipment to Greenland. Now, I'm not going to dog on people's troops. These are members of NATO, and if they're elite troops for Denmark, then they're the top of the top. But as you've seen, the United States is on a whole nother level, and actually like 5 levels above this. Honestly, I can't even say that. They're on such another level that they're not even in the same solar system. The United States compared to Denmark.
Did you see what the one of Maduro's security people came out and said about the attack, the raid on Maduro's house?
Are you talking about the sound wave gun that they have?
Yep.
Yeah.
The U.S. used a weapon when they attacked Maduro. They used multiple different weapons. They had stealth. The Maduro regime implemented a thing where they could pick up on all kinds of stealth aircraft and whatnot, but they weren't able to pick up on ours somehow. Somehow we evaded it. And then there was other tricks that they used to get around, to get in there and make it such a clean arrest and capture of Maduro. But one of the security people who was there said that we released some kind of sound wave. I don't know if this has something to do with Havana syndrome and that's kind of a more broad, bigger topic. But we released this sound wave, and they said that they were bleeding out of their noses so bad, puking. Like whatever we did, it crippled their whole security force, and we just swept in and picked up Maduro like we were going to pick up bread from Tops. It's super easy.
And this is stuff that they're showing to Venezuela. Imagine the power that we have that we're not showing. Like, what do you think $1 trillion a year going to military is doing? What do you think that is doing? We are on a whole nother level. Like, it's not even comparable. So right here, this is another thing. I don't know if you've seen this. This is what I was talking about earlier. President Trump says that the U.S. needs Greenland for national security. It is vital for the Golden Dome that we are building. Obviously, this is talking about Russia because if you can show your map real quick, Russia and Canada are super close. 2.4 miles away from Alaska and Russia. So when you look at the Arctic, Greenland shooting down missiles, Greenland is so strategic because with the Golden Dome, we need Greenland to be able to shoot them down.
Here's Russia right here, right? Greenland is literally right above this over the Arctic Circle. And, we just showed off some weapons to Venezuela. I don't think that was like our craziest weapon that we used, but we showed that we could use some pretty modern technologies and take out a leader of a country without a problem. Russia also has some very interesting technologies that they could implement, like their Oreshnik missile system. It's a satellite launched meteor. China has hypersonic missiles that are like ridiculously fast that they could launch. Oh, Russia has nuclear powered missiles that they could just send up into orbit. They're powered by nuclear power. They have a miniature nuclear power plant inside the missile, and they could just send them and just keep them rotating around the earth, and then push a button and launch it. And at any time, they could send a hypersonic missile down from the sky. So, the warfare, the level of warfare has gotten ridiculous, where we almost need to focus on our hemisphere, get a security guarantee of some sort, like having Greenland there to have early detection for these types of missiles and whatnot. This is kind of a pretty important thing that we're doing here. Now, that being said, the Iron Dome over in Israel, obviously Iran figured out that if they send a cluster of cheap missiles into the system and then shoot a hypersonic missile through the cloud of the other missiles, they could evade it. So, our Golden Dome has to be better than the Iron Dome of Israel. But no one knows what the exact plan is. So hopefully, go ahead, Rich.
Yeah. I think it comes in the name. When you look at the Iron Dome and the Golden Dome, you would think that gold is more prestige than iron. I think the Golden Dome is going to have a lot more foolproof technology. When you were talking about Venezuela and what they were dealing with the attack. Now, Venezuela has Russian air defenses. Obviously, probably not the top of the top line, not the best of the best, but they do have Russian air defenses. Now, look at, what their air defenses got them. They couldn't even detect our planes. Along with, what about mainland Russia and Ukraine actually being able to do some significant drone strikes on Russia, on the mainland? Just something to look into. I believe that We need to have great relations, not good relations, great relations with President Putin and President Xi Jinping of the Communist Party of China. I believe that we need to have those great relations with these top-ranking countries so a top nuclear level event doesn't happen. China also has the hydrogen bomb. That is a big thing. The hydrogen bomb is a very scary weapon. And along with what we were talking about Greenland, this clip right here of President Trump, it's very interesting. So I definitely want to show you guys this. It's a quick 20-second clip. So let's open it up right now.
Sir, the premier of Greenland said today, we prefer to stay with Denmark. Do you see that as the final word? That? The premier of Greenland.
Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with him. I don't know who he is. Don't know anything about him. But that's going to be a big problem for him.
Sir, the premier.
Yeah, that's a
I
big
like how he says, I don't know who he is. Obviously, Trump knows who he is. He's just trying to, politically kind of put the guy down because Greenland has no cards and Denmark has the NATO threat that they're holding against us, which really doesn't hold water because if we
call it NATO, I would call it the European Union.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what they're doing. So basically, NATO has formed a separate alliance within itself called the Northern Group. It's all these radical European countries that want to go fight Russia and want to fight the U.S. and they're just gonna destroy themselves in this process. They have to make some friends because Russia is on their landmass, and it's not gonna work out well if we say, all right, fine, you don't want to be with us, then we're done. Russia will sweep right through Europe in about, I don't know how,
It's hard to tell. I don't think they're going full out on Ukraine, but I do believe that they are stronger than what they're showing. And if it's an all-out war, Russia versus Europe, that's a toss-up. I think with us, and to quote Trump, with the United States, you have the cards. But without the United States, you don't have the cards. It's not 100% guarantee. You know what I mean? Like it's not. So they definitely need to be careful with what they're doing. Right here, I am about to pull it up. This is another thing, my last thing on Greenland. This is a big deal. So let's just look at this real quick. Here we go. The whole Greenland thing has proved a point. They have no interest in defending against Russia. For that, they rely on us and guilt us when we don't. They have no interest on supporting us against Iran or China. Not their problem. But Greenland, yes, that's important. This is worded perfectly. Okay, this exact terminology that he used, love it. They don't support us with Iran and China. They don't care about Russia. They say they do. Obviously, they really don't. Like when you look at what they've done for Ukraine, we've put more money in to Ukraine than they have, and you want to put troops on Greenland, you want to protect 57,000 people from the United States, who is NATO, like this whole thing. And this is why I said European hypocrisy. This is all hypocritical. It doesn't make any sense for them to do this. It doesn't make any sense. I just, it really doesn't make any sense, to be honest, but
it's super irritating because, if you could take Europe seriously, then, we probably wouldn't even be tossing around the idea, or we probably wouldn't even need it because, we would have Europe right near Russia and we could use them to have our deterrence and our defensive stuff and everything like that. But Europe is the reason why our founding fathers said to stay out of Europe is because they're nothing but chaos. There's nothing good about Europe. The borders have changed. If you look at a world map over the last 300 years and play a timeline, the shift in the borders of Europe have changed massively for 1,000 years. There's a reason why we were supposed to stay out of there. Now we're all caught up in these European entanglements, and they've given us the bad relations with Russia and China that we're experiencing now. If we could pull out of that and open up trade with Russia, China, have good relations in the Middle East, we'd be much better off doing that and ditching Europe than trying to pander to Europe, because all the European leaders do, like the Europe right now is saying, oh, we can't let Russia get away with this. They arrest protesters and they arrest people for free speech and this and that. Well, in England right now, if you go out and protest against their country being invaded by Muslims, you'll get arrested. If you make a post on social media, you'll get arrested. England has more people arrested for social media posts than any other country in the world. That's not a democracy. That is a monarchy, a supposed democracy with a parliament, but the parliament is literally like a formality. So they're a monarchy to begin with, and then they're underneath the EU, which is an unelected dictatorship. They're not a democracy either. They're not pro-freedom. They're not any of our values.
No, they're not. And yet we still ally with them. We still protect them. We still give them all of our money. We give them our troop guarantees. We stay in NATO and empower them to be these tough guys. And they're not. They're not. They're actually as the United States lists a Muslim Brotherhood, the Muslim Brotherhoods as terrorist organizations. They are just taking them in. The UAE, we talked about it. The UAE listed the UK as a terrorist or Muslim Brotherhood Islamic extremist hotspot. The UK, the United Kingdom, England. So that's just something that you got to look at.
Put my screen up for a second.
All right.
Because what I want to show you guys is what Greenland, let's put this into perspective. Greenland is this landmass right here, obviously. The only places that are even usable is this little green strip on the bottom. That's where all the cities are. And what's the population?
57,000 people. 99% of it is non-inhabitable.
57,000 people. That's like much smaller than your average U.S. city. Probably what was the statistic of Buffalo? Half of the population of
1/6 of Buffalo.
1/6 of the population of Buffalo, New York, which is right here. This little city right here. 1/6 of the population of this city alone is all of Greenland. So what are they going to be able to do if we do come in there?
Yeah, no, and they can't do anything. Now zoom out a little bit so you can see the top. Look at how close it is to Canada. Now explain how in any world Greenland is European. Like, it doesn't. Even Iceland is like in the middle of Europe, and I'd say they lean European, but they're like very close to the middle. Now, Greenland is North American, and like there's not a debate.
Yeah, this is the Western Hemisphere. This is the West. This is the East. Europe could be, as far as I'm concerned, considered the East. And this is Denmark, the country that's supposedly threatening us right now. this little country right here
Little
is
country that got ran over in 6 hours during World War II. Took 6 hours for them to fold. Just, it's just, it doesn't make sense. I mean, everything that they want to fearmonger and tell us, it doesn't make sense. Everything about this situation doesn't make sense. And then you got Canada. Their leader's an absolute idiot. I mean, and I'm gonna put my screen up real quick because, dude, this is disgusting. Carney,
yeah, Mark Carney. He's the leader of Canada, but he calls himself a European.
So here's Mark Carney walking down the stairs. Just landed in Beijing, China. Good on Carney. Good old Carney right there. Now let's check out what he was saying in the debates leading up to their election in 2025.
Mr. Carney?
Well, we're in a security section. I think we didn't have a chance to talk about anything internationally. I think the biggest security threat to Canada is China.
China, you say?
Yeah.
So the biggest security threat is China. But now, ever since Liberation Day, let's get cozied up with China. China's a better ally than the United States. Like, what do these people think? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Now, look at this picture. China is urging Canada to distance itself from the United States as Prime Minister Mark Carney arrives in Beijing. States media is calling on Ottawa to move away from its U.S. alliance and adopt what China has described a strategic or what does that even say? Dude, well, it doesn't even matter. Just look at how excited this guy is. Look at his face. Dude, look at his face. He is so happy. This guy, you see him go into the White House, right? He goes in the White House. He's all stressed out. He's scared, which as he should be. He's like, the Canada will never be the 51st state. Trump's joking around with him. He's all stressed out. Look at this relationship, Obviously, China wants a bordering country of the United States to ally with them. What does Canada even think that is like? What do they think they're going to do? They have a population of 30 million people. The United States has a population of 350 plus million people, not including illegal immigrants, which who really knows exactly the number of that. But dude, it doesn't even make any sense to me. When you look at everything that China has done in the last 60 years, they've actually, from a Chinese point of view, they've done a great job. They've done a great job of becoming a top superpower. They've done a great job of really pushing countries against the United States. And the United States has done, quite frankly, a terrible job over the last 60 years. I keep saying since 1963, because honestly, when Lyndon B. Johnson became the president and went into office, that's when the United States went downhill. So, as we build back towards the American empire and we continue to grow on the world scale, no one's going to mess with us. That's not the problem. The problem that we have is our allies are terrible. Europe does not even like us. Canada wants to be allies with China. And like every other ally we have, apart from maybe, Japan and South Korea, because, we know what happened with Japan in World War II, and we give them security guarantees. Taiwan, security guarantees. South Korea, we would give them security guarantees if North Korea ever invaded them. Those are like our best allies. You want to look at the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, they don't want to let us use their airspace, which I completely understand and get. We don't need that. They're an economic partner. Qatar, another economic partner. But like when you look at these European countries, you would think that your NATO allies are your top allies. No, they're really not. Europe hates us. Europe hates us. They just act like they like us. But realistically, we're so divided in politics. We're nothing like that. We're more like Russia than we are to Western Europe.
And France, like you said, Denmark got run over. France, it took 2 weeks for Germany to conquer them. All of Europe was completely lost, and you know, I won't pull up a map, but the entire continent of Europe was taken over by Germany, and we landed on the beaches of France, way up to the east or to the western side of Europe, and we came in on D-Day and swept through the entire country while Russia came from the other side, and we pinched Germany and took back over Europe, and they were powerless. They didn't help us. We did that. We stayed out of the conflict, and they got run over until we got involved, and then we came in, and you want to talk about blitzkrieg with Germany? We came in and blitzkrieg them out of existence. The Nazi Party is gone because of us, not because of Europe, not because of France, not because of England. England was getting firebombed every single day when Winston Churchill, was playing appeasement games with Hitler and all that. We came in and we're the ones who took down the Nazi regime. And then they want to turn around and say Trump is Hitler or whatever and hate America. They would not exist if it wasn't for us.
Exactly. That's what I keep saying. Like, you look at countries like Austria, they already speak German, but France would be speaking German at this moment if we didn't step in. Denmark speaking German. The way that it was going without the United States, the UK very well could have been, and countries like Switzerland and Sweden were neutral, but they very well could have been speaking German. Now, all of these countries that we help save, they have no gratitude towards us. They actually despise us. They view us as this tyrant. The United States is imperialist. They're tyrants. Well, talk about imperialism, because we weren't a part of the Divide Africa. We weren't a part of that. UK, you controlled how much of the world? 25%. Pakistan, India, all of the British Raj. What else did you have? Canada. You had the United States, Australia, New Zealand. You still have islands everywhere. Malta, Sri Lanka, or so many different things that the UK has had. You want to look at all of Africa being set back hundreds of years because I believe it's not the Berlin Conference. They had a conference and they just split up Africa, and just European countries controlled Africa. And then what happens? They felt bad, so they drew up a bunch of terrible borders and left. You want to look up the genocide of Rwanda? Look up the genocide of Rwanda and see what the European countries did. That genocide, the Hutus and the Tutsis, all 100%. The blood has to be on Europe's hands, 100%. You look at the current problem with Israel and Palestine. Who drew up those borders? Well, Palestine got promised the land, and Israel, they needed a spot to go, even though in between Russia and China, Russia offered this Donbass, which is bigger than Israel. But let's give them Israel, 48% of Israel, and they did that. Yeah, there it is. Along with the Pakistan-India conflict. The Pakistan-India conflict was another huge issue. Everyone thought World War III in 2025. That conflict lasted 3 weeks. They always have border problems. What do you know about the Kashmir region? The Kashmir region has multiple different claims from China, India, Pakistan. Mainly India and Pakistan have the hugest problems, the biggest problems. But you want to look at that Kashmir region. Who drew up the borders? Oh my gosh. And I'm not going to bash Europe. I think Europe has a lot of opportunities to, come back and relive their former glory. And when I say relive their former glory, I'm not talking about colonialism, imperialism, but if the United States of Europe wanted to unite into one entity, and it was I'm going to use the Soviet Union as a perfect example. The Soviet Union was, I believe, 14 different countries all combined into the Soviet Union, the European Union, the United States of Europe. Now, there might be countries that don't want to get involved, like Serbia, because they're allied with Russia because of Kosovo, and countries like Switzerland because they're neutral. But do you know how powerful Europe would be? You don't need the United States. You know, we can be allies economically, but you don't need the United States if you want to unite. Right here, this is a perfect example of all of this territory. Now, look at this. Look at this. This, the Union Jack. This part of Africa. Look at that. Look at just look at that, dude. Like,
at the height of England's imperial power, this was all their territory. Look at, they lost India, they lost the Chinese region, they lost Australia. They're still messing around in Africa, but they have no control. All that they did was install warlords that you know they could steal diamonds off of, and England was in charge of the slave trade, the triangular trade. All profited England.
wow. Now, what are these dark red portions of the map? Because
those are British co-prosperity regions. The lighter red is the British Empire, and then the other color, maroonish kind of color, was the West Britannia. Back in the day, they had control of Canada. That's why you got British Columbia and all that stuff. They had a big influence in Canada, along with France.
And this is a larger like map than I even thought of. You know, originally I always think of all of Canada, the British Isles, obviously Ireland. I think of all of the whole strip when they were mining diamonds in South Africa. I think of the British Raj. I think of New Zealand, Australia. I never even thought about the allied countries that they had, the governments that they instead. That's just that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, and they lost all of it.
Yeah, and now they have this guilt.
They have a couple Virgin Islands or whatever.
Yeah, the British Virgin Islands. I think they had to let go of Malta, Sri Lanka. They don't have anymore. Like, there's so many different areas that they had, but yeah, I mean, even like look at French Guyana. French Guyana is still colonized by France. There's still colonies like in the world today, which people don't think about. But the imperialist nature is only the United States and China and Russia. Because what? Because we're the biggest, we're the strongest. No, that's not how it works.
Well, now that they lost control of the entire world, it's easy to look at who is controlling it and say, you know, oh, look at them, they're bad. They are imperialist and this and that. The only reason that Britain is not still imperialist is because they lost all their territory, because they mismanaged it, because they, you know, had an overthrow within their own government, the revolution. All of Europe basically lost all of its power when all the revolutions happened, except for us. We had a revolution and we became the world superpower. And now England and the EU and NATO do nothing but suck off of us, and they want to make these threats like their threats mean anything.
Beats me, you know. As an American, you want America to be the global superpower, obviously, and I say this a lot, and I get flack from people when I say it. We're the best country in the world, and I don't think that that's debatable. But yet, I have even teachers, you know, people that I talk to that will debate it, Well, they say our schooling's not. They say our cost of living. They say like so many different things like that. I mean, just idiotic stuff. We're the best country in the world for so many reasons. Number one, rights. We have rights, and the rights will never be taken away from us. And if they are taken away from us, then a lot of U.S. citizens will die protecting our rights, and we have before, and we will continue to. Number two, the number one military in the entire world, and that's not even close. Like China and Russia combined is I would say equal to the United States. Maybe that's a biased take. But when you look at military spending, I mean, we're not even like, you got to combine like 5 countries, the top 5 countries, except for the United States, just to hit our quota. And then Trump's talking about gaining another $500 billion into military spending due to the tariffs, the tariff money that we're intaking. It's not even close. Like, we are the
Oh, I could do it.
Look at that.
We spend $37 trillion. China spends 12, Russia 5, Germany 3, India, UK. This is like, and I don't get, see that 2.4 for Ukraine? That's our money too.
Yeah, it is. And this is also a percentage. This is the percentage that we are spending. When you look at like our percentages are way larger than everyone else's percentage because our GDP is the highest by far. California alone would be the 5th best economy in the world. So just take that into account. We have so many territories, so many states. Like our GDP is unmatched. Like, our GDP is so high, you could combine Europe and they'd still be less than $9 trillion less than the United States in GDP. It's ridiculous. The GDP of the United States is completely unmatched. And then people want to fearmonger and talk about a recession. People thought that in 2025 we would go into a recession. A recession means that you have 2 quarters that are GDP declines. So it could be a 0.4 and a 0.3 decline in 2 quarters in a row, and that could be considered a recession. So when you have recession talks, you need to just ask yourself a couple questions, as an American citizen, and especially in today's society with, all of this technology, you need to ask critical questions. Now, how bad is a recession actually? If a recession is only 0.7% of your GDP in 6 months, I don't think that that's really that bad. But then you look at like what Trump did, and we gained 3.4%. That's a huge growth.
We did technically have a recession under Biden, and the entire government refused to call it that. We did have 2 negative quarters of GDP under Joe Biden, and no one would recognize it as a recession. Under Trump, we're making a recovery, and even though a lot of Americans and people from all over the world are taking money out of the American economy and putting it over into the European stock market as an intentional way to sabotage the Trump recovery, we have not felt the effects because the recovery is outweighing the sabotage.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, you look at all the numbers, and the U.S. doesn't really lie about their numbers at all. You want to talk about population, in a sense,
A little bit.
I mean, you look at it compared to China. When you compare Russia, or you compare the United States and China. I mean, do you really think they have 1.4 billion people when they had the one-child policy, and they started the one-child policy at 900 million? Like, it doesn't make sense when you do the math. Obviously every country actually lies about their stuff, but it's all fear mongering. Trump, actually, I will say this: Trump lies, but I don't think he means to lie. I don't know if you noticed this. Trump will like just spew numbers. I think it's almost like when he's talking to the press, he'll say so many different numbers that I think it almost confuses the press, where like they won't question him sometimes. But
I think that Trump is trying to build the American brand. Like I always say, he made the Gulf of America. He's focusing on getting our Western Hemisphere it under our control. He's branding our country, and if you were the owner of Nike shoes, and let's just say one of your shoes kept falling apart, what you do is you'd go to the drawing board, hit redesign, fix the problem, and then you'd come out in the press and you'd say, listen, the Air Max 90 is going to be the best shoe on the market. And you wouldn't, so a lot of times he does play games, and it's easy to catch him in these things if you're paying attention, which I don't like. I don't like gimmicks. I don't like games. I don't like that type of things. But on the world stage, we are respected right now. Foreign, like I said at the beginning of the show, our foreign policy is ridiculous right now. We're doing like a great job, and I don't know. I don't know if you had anything else to add to Europe, but
no, not really. Just Trump in general, 2026. What are we? 14 days in. So yeah, 2 weeks since the beginning of 2026. We've had a 2-week period of honestly excellence when it comes to the United States. I view everything that he's done pretty positive. I haven't seen many negatives that I've been mad at because, I'm not a full-on Trumper, but I do ask the critical questions. I actually was very critical of him. We were very critical of him in the first 3 to 4 episodes. And that's something that I think all Americans should do. I don't think that you should be aligned with a party and then just lie to yourself and make narratives about something just because it's what you believe in, when realistically that's not everything that happens. You could say Trump has been a great president for 3 years, and then in 2028, he just or 2027, 2028, he just falls off and he's terrible. I'm going to tell you he's terrible. I'm going to tell you everything he's doing. Along with, I think that we need to focus on domestic issues more. He has been one of the best presidents ever when it comes to geopolitics. I think world politics, he has reinstilled, like you said, the American brand, but America is a strong nation to be feared upon, like it should be. We are the #1 superpower in the world, and it's not close. We have all the power, we have the cards, and we need a leader like that. I think that domestically, gas prices are down, and gas prices across the nation actually are down. We need to focus more on some of the issues that he did promise. The no tax on tips, overtime, Social Security, that's kind of fallen through in a sense with Congress. No tax on tips, even in the state of New York, the great state of New York, our local, and our Governor Hochul.
They're going to block everything. They're going to block everything that Trump tries to do.
Dude, she's so obsessed with Trump. Like, we were talking about this off camera, obviously, but she's so obsessed with Trump. Everything Trump does, has to mention her. And that goes with Mamdani as well. Mamdani condemned Venezuela and when we attacked Venezuela. So he condemned us for what we did to Venezuela. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, this is a first-generation immigrant mayor of a city talking about a federal issue. It didn't even make any sense to me. I think these people know them, and obviously they're high-ranking Democrats. So they just have to, spew their stuff. I mean, Democrats are paying creators on apps like TikTok and YouTube and Instagram to post anti-Trump, to post pro-Democrat. I see all these, these Generation Z targeted edits that the GOP was so good. And you see him on Twitter, he'll put Democrats in sombreros and all this crazy stuff. You'll see AI generated pictures and stuff like that. And that's something that the GOP does a great job of connecting with the youth. And that's why I think ever since COVID, there's been a huge shift. But, I see the Democrats trying to do it. I think that could definitely win people over. But it's just like, it's something that, it's not going to do what you think it's going to do. These people are all saying the same stuff.
What would win people over is if we actually took action. So you said that we're doing great in foreign policy, and that since the new year there has I think that there has been quite a bit that we have done that the Trump administration has missed out on recently with you're letting Governor Tim Walz call up the National Guard against the federal government. He should be arrested. You're letting all these left-wing people go out and protest, and they're calling for violence. You should arrest them, and not only arrest them, but look into who's funding them to do these things, and then create RICO charges like a mafia, because the left really is a mafia. You should make RICO charges and take all these people down and have them arrested and hold them all accountable. We've seen Bill and Hillary Clinton skip their deposition, and then the leader of the oversight committee or whatever comes out and he's like, "Oh yeah, we'll be filing contempt of Congress charges next week." What's wrong with today? What's wrong with this week? They're in contempt of Congress. We know where they live. Go get them. Make an arrest. Pam Bondi should be fired. Kash Patel fired. These are things that are actions that our government could take to win over people. I don't care about the image of how it looks. I think that this needs to happen because basically, like we've been kind of saying, China's closing in on us. We're having a communist revolution in the country. The Somalis are stealing money hand over fist from the American people. Trump is getting blocked in every action he does. There's a Third Circuit court that comes out. The Third Circuit courts are not a co-equal branch to the presidency, to the executive branch. The executive, the legislative, and the judicial branch, being the Supreme Court, are all co-equal. These Third Circuit district courts that all file injunctions to bring Kilmar Obrego Garcia back into the country time and time again, they're not co-equal to the federal government, and Trump needs to use his authority as the commander-in-chief to end this judicial tyranny, end this communist takeover, end all of it, because we have a short window of time to get things done before God knows what happened. I can't predict the future, but if we lose in 2026, they'll impeach Trump day one, probably.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's even more stuff that they should be doing. I think that they should not only kick out Ilhan Omar out of the Congress, but she should also be deported. She's an illegitimate United States citizen.
Well, she should be arrested. She should be arrested also because she received the money, some of the money from this Somali fraud scandal. You know who else received money from the fraud? is Michael Bird, the guy who shot Ashley Babbitt. He has a child care center in his name that he received $190 million in federal funding, and the business doesn't exist.
That's just what you're dealing with, you know, and the United States just loves to give money away.
Tina Peters needs to be free. She exposed election fraud in the 2020 election. We need to go in and say that she's a material witness to a federal crime, and we're putting her under witness protection. We'll take her out of jail, which she needs because she's very sick and needs medical attention that they're not giving her in prison. We need to get her out and have her testify to what she saw. It'll be exposed that there was mass election fraud, and then you bring down the whole network of people that were involved in covering it up and jailing her, and you bring the whole network down by doing that. These are actions the Trump administration needs to take to win the 2026 midterms so that we can continue to have this, this momentum that we've had. And we need to pick up the momentum, pick up the pace like we did in the first 3 months of the second term, and just run through this stuff. They're all guilty of crimes.
Yeah.
Find one.
We also need to get rid of the H-1B visa scam because it's literally taking away all of these high-ranking jobs from U.S. citizens. And I disagree with what Trump said about the U.S. citizens not being smart enough or good enough for these jobs. No, it's about corporations saving money after you give them these tax breaks that the Republican Party, but also the Democratic Party has instilled with these high-ranking companies, these huge companies having these tax breaks. I believe that we need to get rid of the H-1B visas because American workers are the best workers in the entire world. We are going to live the American dream, and we need to get rid of these H-1B visas because we are literally importing immigrants to take our jobs. If you want to say that you can't find anyone for your jobs, that's not real. Like, you can't find anyone to work. You can't
find people who will work for the same wage as an illegal immigrant. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the whole thing is that if you look at the rhetoric of the left and how they talk about illegal immigrants, they say, well, who's gonna pick your crops, and they do jobs that American people don't want to do, and then you put that together with the wages that they're being paid under the table, low wages.
It's basically slavery. I mean,
it's literally slavery. So the Democrat Party is in favor of taking South Americans who, they're all about the people of color and, the black and brown and whatever community. And then they want to exploit their labor and use them as an economic tool to advance the country and not pay Americans a living wage to do the jobs. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. We got a lot of stuff that we could still fix.
Let's shift gears into this next topic. I got this is all about the U.S. media that we're going to go into and the problems with the media in the United States. Hey, look, there's 4 of us.
Hey.
No, this is a clip from our show the other day. And I got a whole segment here planned out. So it's going to start with this clip of Zoran Mondami's property chief and from our show the other day. Oh, I don't have any sound. Hold on. I got to just fix this real quick. Sorry about this. I will get this fixed up real quick.
Yeah.
Because I have a bigger point to what I want to.
I had to unmute it.
Huh?
I just unmuted it, but
Okay. We're ready to go.
here we go. I just added it to the stage. We're all good.
A relationship to property where you can't own property anymore. Here, let's see if this clip is any better.
I think the reality is that for centuries we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good, and we are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently, and it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have.
So you could go back to episode 7 of our show and watch that clip. But basically, this is Zoran Mondami's property chief talking about, how she wants to take houses from people for the collective good of the country. So that was, something that got exposed a couple weeks ago, and people obviously didn't like the sound of it. So what does the U.S. media do? What does the government do? They go and they take it down off the internet so that, and they just wipe it clean off the internet so that you can't see what their actual beliefs are. There was someone, I forget who it was, somebody was quoted as saying, oh, well, we're not going to tell them what we actually think because then they wouldn't vote for us. This is a prime example of that. And if you want to put my screen up again here. Deletes extremist Mondani housing czars information from website as CEA Weaver faces information from website.
Oh, you're good. I muted it. I just this.
Sorry. Faces harassment over calls to impoverish the white middle class. So if you're a white person and you say, "Oh my God, she wants to take my house away from me," what the hell? That they consider that harassment. That you have a criticism of them trying to steal your house from you. So they took down all of our information off of their website, and now they're going to try and pretend like those aren't her real beliefs when they obviously are.
Yeah, and then also you want to talk about 2020. This is a perfect example of exactly what they were talking about, how white people need to pay reparations for slavery, even though my dad's generation, my grandpa's generation, and my great-grandpa's generation, that's 4 generations minimum of us all not having slaves, but then they want to say white people need to pay reparations for that trauma that the current African-American citizens had to deal with, when, again, they're probably 4 or 5 generations removed from the slavery.
And
that makes sense.
Our family actually technically were part German, part Italian, part Irish. The Irish side came over after the Civil War and fought for the Union Army against the rebels, the rebel scum. And I'm calling the left right now in Minnesota rebel scum because they're the same as the Confederate Party. They're actually disgusting. Our Italian side came over in the 1930s after the Industrial Revolution, seeking a better life, no ties to slavery at all. And our German side, I'm not too sure about the history of it, but that was like my grandfather's mother. And however far back that goes, what do I have to do with slavery that I owe anyone anything?
Exactly, and especially in New York City.
So we're talking about obviously how the left, and just the media itself. Putting a left label on it isn't really a good thing because, it's not your average leftist. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the media itself and their coverage and the institution that is the media within the United States is completely like off the tracks. The train has fallen off the tracks, tipped over, and started on fire. They're like a dumpster fire. This is just to give you an example of multiple examples of how the media has allowed the left to call for violence and propagandize, radicalize people to the point where we're seeing now they're destroying cities and all that stuff. This is the rhetoric that has brainwashed people to hate Donald Trump for no reason. Oh, what is this?
I gotta
Start taking.
I'm going to start this over because this is important.
Why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be. People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
Wow. Why get on the escalator and call Mexicans rapists?
Oh,
I mean, come on. When have protests ever supposed to have been peaceful? That's your rights is to peacefully protest and assemble. Like do these people not even know the Constitution?
You don't have the right to burn down cities and ram ICE agents with your car. You have the right to go to the Capitol on January 6th and make your voice heard that you think the election was stolen. You don't have the right to ram police officers, shoot fireworks. We'll see in a couple videos down the road here that they're blasting fireworks at ICE agents. Now they're walking with canes, pretending to be crippled so that they could turn around and use the cane as a weapon. We saw a guy the other day walking with a cane during the protest, and as soon as ICE shot tear gas at him to disperse the crowd, he picked up his cane and ran full speed. He's not crippled. He wanted to have a weapon. They're putting frozen water bottles out for people to grab so that they have projectiles to throw at ICE agents. You don't have the right to riot. You have the right to peacefully assemble and make your voice heard. Let's see if this clip plays.
He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump. What? And that's a fact.
Maybe know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
So that is the type of rhetoric coming from the left, and you don't see that from Donald Trump. He's not coming out and saying, "Hey, let's go out. You need to punch a Democrat in the face." Like, when has that ever happened? But they're allowed to do it, and then if Trump passes some kind of policy embargoing Venezuelan immigration or whatever, they literally stretch the truth as far as they can to make it seem like he's the radical one, but they're out here doing that. I mean, it's literally like ridiculous.
These people are so lost. I mean, they don't even comprehend that there's another viewpoint. They think that we're all Nazis. They think that we're all Nazis and we're all crazy. Like, they're so brainwashed. It's disgusting.
So they are brainwashed, and I'm trying to pull up the next clip here because how does the rhetoric from Nancy Pelosi and all those people that we saw in the last video, how does that translate to the average left-wing person, do you think?
Yeah, well, we're about to find out because, you know, you look at what these people are doing to these ICE agents, it's not okay. These are federal officers. You've seen, I believe it was the chief of justice, or maybe that's the wrong term, but someone of the high-ranking official from Chicago came out and said that these are federal agents. You can.
I know that you know that
Chicago is a liberal city, along with basically every city is a liberal city. It's a urban area, but Chicago is very liberal, and he came out and said that. I have a lot of respect for that guy.
There's the chief of police, and you know why? Is because he doesn't want his own officers being attacked if they decide that all of a sudden they don't agree with Chicago police.
Mm-hmm.
You could put this clip up on the screen. Like I said, how does the rhetoric from Nancy Pelosi and those people translate to the average person? These are just TikToks from run-of-the-mill people that literally are calling for the death of ICE agents and all this stuff. These people, we have like extreme facial recognition technology and AI software and whatever, all this stuff. They want to, I don't agree with it that they want to put everybody on a list with Palantir so they could judge pre-crime and this and that. But given that we have all this technology, even though I don't agree with it, I think it's police state type technology. If we have it implemented, why don't we use it on people like this?
Mm-hmm.
And for the leftist ladies, maybe we start getting crafty.
because I know that you know that I know what we're all thinking. Who's gonna do it? It can't be me. I'm a dance teacher. I got things to do. But somebody's gotta do it. Someone's gotta take one for the team.
Ashley Babbitt, she deserves to die. Tell Mickey, I hope Ashley Babbitt's getting eaten by worms. I hope she's getting eaten by worms.
And for the leftist ladies, maybe we start getting crafty.
So let's talk about what was said here, because the second lady, she's like, somebody's got to do it. I can't. I'm a dance teacher, but somebody's got to take one for the team. If she had any guts, the lady we're seeing right here, and any real chutzpah, she would do something herself, which I'm not advocating, but they want somebody else to do it for them. And then the second lady that we saw, this lady right here, this lady, you know what they were asking her about? They were asking her about the lady in Minnesota that got shot by the ICE agent. They said, okay, well, if you don't agree with her dying, then how do you feel about Ashley Babbitt being shot? This is her.
Tell Mickey, I hope Ashley Babbitt's getting eaten by worms. I hope she's getting eaten by worms.
And for the leftist ladies, maybe.
Are you kidding me? So what your stance? You don't even believe in. You're not even against police brutality. You're just brainwashed by the talking points, and you just will stand up for whatever they say. Whatever they say, you'll just come out in agreement with it. You have no like logic isn't logic if it can't be applied equally across the board. If you can't take it and apply it to every scenario, it's not logic, it's propaganda. That lady is a propagandized puppet, what are they? A useful idiot, a tool, a cog in the machine of the communist radical takeover that's being basically put on this country, and it's all because of the leadership and because of their rhetoric and because of the media and because of the spin that they have to do on every single thing. They said that a third-hand source overheard Trump saying that all the World War II veterans at the cemetery were suckers and losers or whatever. Like, come on. Nowadays in the modern era, if your friend sends you a video, you're like, oh, pictures or it didn't happen, joking around. So when it comes to like real life things, you want to see a picture or video or it didn't happen, or you need, another buddy of that person to say, oh yeah, I saw him shoot a full court shot at, 3 times in a row and make it. You need confirmation in this era of technological, social media type stuff like that. But when it comes to the media saying that this guy heard a guy that talked to a guy that heard Trump say that all the veterans were suckers and losers, that was like one of Joe Biden's big talking points during the debates.
Yeah.
And it literally was like an odd third-hand stance. Or the lady that said, oh yeah, my friend told me that he talked to somebody that said that on January 6th, the Secret Service wouldn't take Trump to the Capitol. So he hopped over the back seat and tried to wrestle with 8 Secret Service agents to grab the steering wheel so that he could drive to the Capitol to go lead the riot or whatever. These are such stretches of the truth that they're ridiculous. And that's what people predicate Trump being, an authoritarian on. But then you've got literal examples, like I just showed you, of not only the politicians and actors and everyone in Hollywood calling for violence, and people on the left calling for violence or celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, and they don't see anything wrong with that.
It's crazy. It's honestly insane. These people, like, you want to talk about brainwashing, they call us brainwashed. Dude, it's so bad. It's happened to where, and I'll get this off. We're the brainwash side, the Christian. I got it. The Christians, the people that believe in common sense, the people that believe in morals are brainwashed because we believe in our set belief system that has lasted over 2,000 years, and they believe in a system that has never worked called collectivism. For some reason, just the whole left has become socialists, which I don't know how that happened at all. But then they want to say that their policies are on paper are better. They work more than Republican policies. Well, I'm sorry that I don't want my future daughter playing a sport against a biological male. Like it's a common sense thing. It's not even a political thing anymore. It's just a common sense thing. If they had common sense and they stopped with these issues and they wanted to say, well, the Republicans are doing all this and we are fighting for Americans and they were for the American people, I would buy in with it. I don't think I would be a Republican. But our political system, the reason I'm a far right person, I believe it's because our political system has been so shifted towards demonic things and towards the left that, and it's not even left. I'd say I'm centered. I'd say I would probably be a centered person if we went back 60 years.
The far right is the center. There's a thing called the Overton window. So on a scale of left to right and then centers in the middle, the Overton window can shift one way or the other. So, if the Overton window shifts to the right and now the center is called the far left, that is, one scenario. Or vice versa. Right now, we're in this scenario where the extreme left is all the way over here, and they're just called the left. And then the centrists are called far right extremists. But in reality, we're just fiscally responsible, constitutional conservatives. And so we're in the center. And then this video I'm about to show you is the far left shooting fireworks at ICE agents, rioting, causing total chaos in the streets of America. But they call themselves, they claim that they have the moral high ground, which is ridiculous. Can you...
I mean, and you guys, I mean, you guys have watched the show. Who's the crazy people? Do you think that we're the crazy ones, or do you think that these people rioting are the crazy ones? That it's just, you know, I don't even want to say this. Wow. Fireworks.
So there's a weak agents inside of that building. They just burn missiles, pots and pans, fireworks, you know, anything that just cause total chaos and destruction. So obviously that's totally ridiculous. I mean, like, that is what they call, you know, a peaceful protest. But January 6th, where everyone was just standing in the lawn, if you watch more than just the clips that the media cherry picked, everyone's just standing there, and all of a sudden police start firing tear gas canisters into the back of the crowd and shooting people with rubber bullets who were just standing there. They shot a guy right in the face. It went through his cheek, and he had a big hole in his face. They agitated the whole crowd. Plus, there was plainclothes FBI agents in the crowd. There was left-wing Antifa agitators dressed as Trump supporters. You know, that was like a Kent State type of scenario where the peaceful protests got hijacked by all these different people. But this, everyone's participating in the chaos, destruction, rioting. It's like totally ridiculous.
Yeah, 100%. I think I think that this stuff is ridiculous. I mean, thinking back of the riots in 2020, March, April of 2020, those were crazy. Cities burned down. You know, like it's not a normal thing. It's not something that usually happens in history.
Yeah. This here is how, you know, how far it goes. They actually put together a list of personal details of thousands of Border Patrol agents and doxed all of these federal agents. So
there we go.
Sorry, did you catch any of that?
Yeah, I muted it just in case. For some reason it was echoing.
So they put together a list which has since been taken down. Now, if you click on it, it says error 304 or whatever. But they actually made a list, and this is why the ICE agents were wearing masks, is because they know that the left will show up to their houses. They made threats against the ICE agents' children. They found out there was a video of a lady saying, you know, a lot of ICE agents have kids, and those kids go to school, and that information can be found out. So you're literally gonna threaten to do what to an ICE agent's kid just because they went out, got a job for a police agency, a federal law enforcement agency, and you're gonna dox them, put out all their information. That's why they're wearing masks, is because they know that the left is radical and that they're gonna probably end up doing something very bad to an ICE agent. And then what? Then we're off to war, and we, what is the idea? What are they trying to get out of it that they can't do by passing laws? Or, if ICE was illegal, then you would have already seen some kind of action taken. They're not doing anything. What they want to do is they want to radicalize the left. See, this is a big deal because I talked about it before. The John Podesta battle plan for if Trump ever got back into office. You should look this up. Go on Grok, because Grok actually understands the Podesta battle plan. Actually, I'll pull it up. The John Podesta battle plan was literally a plan that they would use federal or an ICE raid type of scenario, create uprisings, hope to God that one of the rioters got killed, and if they didn't get killed, they were gonna do it themselves. They were gonna false flag and cause problems, have another George Floyd, and totally, if not take over the country, totally derail Trump's whole presidency. And we've seen the ICE agents be very reserved in their actions. There's a little bit here and there, a guy walks up and does something to him and they grab him and rip him down to the ground and all that. We've all seen the videos, but it's always with cause. There's a guy, they're making an arrest. I watched the video earlier. They're making an arrest of this guy. And when they go to make the arrest, another guy runs up and runs full speed and gets in their face. And what did they do? They just reacted and boom, they shot him with a non-lethal pepper ball, and it hit him right in the eyeball. But it's like, what do you think? What do you think's going to happen? First off, you're unarmed going against eight armed agents with bulletproof vests and guns and all this weaponry, and you're an unarmed person and you want to run up and get in their face. And what do you think? They're just going to let you do that? They're going to let you run up and rip the guy out of their hands, and they're just supposed to, you're like, oh, well, I'm a U.S. citizen. No, you get shot in the face with a pepper ball, and you like it because that's what you did. You literally attacked a law enforcement agent.
Yeah, these people are insane. I mean, there's nothing that we can even say. Like, it's crazy that these people want to attack federal agents. Like, and you just got to dumb it down. Like I'm talking to like a kindergartner. There's these people who are so mad that they attack the top ranked agents, federal agents. Like the president is he's a part of the federal government. The federal government has agents like the FBI, the CIA, ICE. And also, this stuff never happened under Obama. No one even thought about doing it under Obama. But now, what is it, like 10 years later, actually. 10 years later, it's a huge ordeal. It's a huge problem. It's ridiculous. I mean, like this, it's not even just European hypocrisy because it's our own people. Like, I don't know, man. Like, and I don't even know what we could do to fix it. Like, I don't even know what we could do to fix this problem because people just they're so lost, man. They're so lost. I mean, the peaceful protests, I'm all for it. I mean, that's what the Constitution allows us, all of our amendments. But I mean, if it's not peaceful and you're going to riot and burn stuff down, I'm against it, along with any American citizen that has common sense.
So we're coming up. Oh, what do you got here? Oh, this is this is, I was trying to look up, you know, what the John Podesta battle plan is.
Oh,
You could take it down because this is basically a website showing, trying to call it a conspiracy theory.
Okay.
But if you read into it, it's like I said, they try and create the climate and the atmosphere to have riots. Then they utilize those riots as a launch pad to create a communist takeover in the country. And I'm going to look more into it. Maybe I'll do a specialized episode just on what the John Podesta battle plan is and how it's being carried out right now in the United States. As we're coming up on the 2-hour mark, and to piggyback off of what you just said, there is a lot of lost people in this country. And what I would say to those people is that you need Jesus. You need to get into your Bible or you know, at least attempt to try and start reading into a Bible a little bit and try and reevaluate your moral compass, because this right here is one of the founding documents of the United States. This is what played into the creation of our Constitution and all of our freedoms and everything that we have as values. Human rights, the Bill of Rights, it says that they're God-given inalienable rights that you have as a human being. Without a system of values and morals, how do you judge good and bad? How do you judge right from wrong without having a guiding light to lead you with your moral compass? You could go off the dopamine hits that you get from, you know, pretending to be a good person because the media told you X, Y, and Z. But in reality, what constitutes a good person is somebody that is all of the things, the fruits of the Spirit. Hold on.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, people don't want to accept it, but the Bible is what America was founded on.
The fruits of the Spirit. Is that backwards? It's probably backwards.
No, it's
the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance. These are the fruits of the Spirit. These are what makes a good person. And it all comes from the Bible. And so for everyone who's out there who, you know, is having a hard time figuring out right from wrong, or who's fallen into this stuff, you know, if you know someone who's a lost left-wing sheep, get them a Bible and just ask them to read one of the Gospels maybe, and try and, you know, reassess right from wrong. Because if you're, you know, a drug-addicted OnlyFans model, you know, and you think you're a good person, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're wrong. You have no moral compass. And that's what's really wrong with our society, is that we've lost sight of what is actually true, what is good, and what is the right thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. And as we've moved forward in history, the freedom of religion has turned into anti-Christianity, and you can't fall into that trap. You can't fall into the anti-Christianity trap. Christianity will always be there. It's the guide to everlasting life. So if you want to live for the world and live as a person who is living on earth and there's nothing after earth, well, there is something after earth, and unfortunately, you're not going to like what you have. But if you want to live for Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, you know, you're going to have everlasting life and eternity in heaven.
So I guess to close out, I'm just going to play our intro again because I made it today and I like it a lot. And Christ is King. God is good, and what can you do to make tomorrow's America a better place?
I love it.
Oh.
Smashing through the lies, destroying narratives, and breaking through the mainstream media programming. This is tomorrow's America.
It is.